Welcome to Between the Shelves, the premier Save-A Library podcast. We are here for part 2 of our Best of 2024 episodes. I'm joined this week by Peter from Adult Services. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you.
Rachel from Patron Services.
Hi, Alex.
Welcome back. And Marianne, Head of Teen Services.
Hi, Alex.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you.
I love these episodes because I get to learn a little bit about my coworkers and get some good recommendations going into next year. So I know we got a lot to talk about, so let's just get right into it. Let's start with books. How about that? We're a library podcast. Let's start with books. So the first book, just to get things rolling, this book is on a lot of best of lists this year. It's not a big surprise. And I even talked about it back in July as a potential book of the year for me. And fast forward to the end of the year, it's still on my best of list, still up there.
I can't wait what you're going to say.
It's James by Percival Everett. This was a huge book this year, bestseller. It was Percival Everett's, I don't even know, 20th book or something, but it was a huge breakthrough, riding off the success of Eraser's adaptation for American Fiction that came out the previous year. Got a bunch of Oscar nominations, so kind of brought some star quality, some focus back on Percival Everett that he rightly deserved. And I think I've read a few of his books. This is my favorite of his. I think it's a masterclass in writing. It's just a fantastic book. If you haven't heard about it yet, it's basically a retelling of Mark Twain's Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, but from the perspective of the character Jim, who is the slave in that story. So Percival Everett takes a lot of liberties, filling in a lot of the gaps from when the two characters split in the original novel. This book follows Jim, or James in this novel, instead of Huckleberry Finn. So we get to see a very different side of that era of American history from a black man, a slave's perspective. We get to be introduced to many new characters. They all have excellent stories, little vignettes that we get to see in this. It's a pretty short book. James is not very long altogether. There's a few other very creative liberties that Percival Everett takes in changing the original story, which I won't spoil because some of them are huge swings. But yeah, I don't want to spoil anything because are some big changes. But yeah, I just love this book. If you want to hear like all my thoughts on it, I talk about it for like 15 minutes in that episode back in July. But this was it blew me away. I love this book. I can't recommend it enough, and I really hope that it's taught in schools alongside Huckleberry Finn, so you can get a different perspective on a more modern perspective on everything. Yeah,
I read that book.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and I loved it, and I never read Huckleberry Finn, and I'm not even really, I don't know much of what it's even about, but so I was worried going into it that I wouldn't understand it, but you don't even need to read it.
It's very accessible.
It's very accessible, and and agreeing with what you said, like it's that more modern take, even though it's not really modern times. It was so good. I did the audio as I read along, and the audio was also really good. And it's up for like all the awards.
Rightly.
It's shortlisted, it's awarded things, and there's a movie adaptation that they are gonna. Yes.
Interesting.
And Percival Everett's gonna do the screenplay, and in talks is Taika Waititi for
interesting.
directing. Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that.
I don't think it's confirmed or anything yet. Those were like rumors early on. Yeah. And that book is shortlisted for the Carnegie Award coming up now.
Wow.
So yeah, I agree. That should be taught alongside or even instead of, I hate to say, Huckleberry Finn, just because most kids, it's hard to read a book like. It's hard to read Mark Twain now, like younger kids today.
Yeah.
They're not going to, their attention spans aren't what ours were when we were young.
Yeah.
And I think that, this would be a great alternative to
Yeah,
it.
I think it's definitely, you're the head of teen services. I was reading this and I'm like, this could be on a teen, maybe like,
Yeah.
whatever, 11th, 12th grade reading list or something. But
Yeah, totally.
yeah, I really, really liked it. It goes to some darker places, obviously, than the original one does, just by the nature of James being the lead character. But it's, it goes darker, but it also is funny. Like, I should there were lots of moments where I was laughing out loud reading it.
His voice, like he is such an interesting character, and you laugh and
like I love his inner monologues where he's in this retelling. He's sort of like a philosopher, and he's having these like daydreams where he's like having like philosophical debates with like Sartre and like all these like famous philosophers, but. It's just, I don't know, it was very funny, and then like the scenes where he's like teaching his kids how to like speak around white people and everything, like that was very humorous, and it's, I don't know, it was just a very colorful, like fun book to read, but also like very serious at times. It was just like, it had everything. Yeah. So
I agree. It's one of the best books that came out this year.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that because you were on the best of last year, and my favorite book, Northwoods, you did not like. Thumbs down.
I did like.
Okay.
I didn't like Northwoods either.
And I'll have to talk to you in private after this because one of the books that I don't think I'm gonna talk about, but I haven't decided yet, reminds me of Northwoods, and I want to recommend it to you.
Okay, good. I can't wait to hear it off air. All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go next. So the book I have is Olivetti by Allie Millington.
Yeah.
And it's about a typewriter, basically. But it's kind of like in a similar vein.
I love typewriters.
Okay.
Now I'm like really intrigued.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
So it's actually a middle grade novel. I think you have a copy in the teen department.
Oh, I hope so.
But it's told kind of from the point of view of the typewriter and also the protagonist, which is a 12-year-old boy. And what happens is this boy, his name is Ernest, and his mom basically disappears one day. And no one can find her. They don't know where she is. But she's been typing on this typewriter like her whole life. So typewriters have this code where they remember everything that's been typed on them. But part of their code is they can never tell this to anybody, like any humans. That's like they keep it with them. So the typewriter has to decide, Olivetti, if he should tell the boy about this to lead clues to his mom or not. And it's very like, when you say it just like that, it's kind of like, it's a typewriter. It's not a person. It's not like setting it, But if you've read Remarkably Bright Creatures also, it's kind of like along a similar vein where you have a character that you don't think it's not the normal person. It's an octopus and a typewriter, but it feels like a person when you're reading it, and it doesn't seem weird at all.
Mm-hmm. I love this kind of stuff. My favorite book of all time has a talking light bulb, so it's fine.
It's great. It's all about like self-discovery and family. And I mean, this typewriter, you just want to like take home and like keep in your home. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, maybe something about how the typewriters are vintage and, they're rare nowadays and no one, works with them anymore. Yeah. And I didn't even know it was a middle grade novel when I was reading it. It felt like an adult novel to me. So I think adults can read it. Teens can read it.
My wife read it. I know that.
Did she?
It's on my bookshelf at home, yeah.
Oh, so she probably liked it then.
I'm sure she did.
Yeah.
We would have got rid of it if she didn't.
Yeah, no, it was great. And it was probably one of the best books I read last year or this year.
Great. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. Yeah. My book actually is a music biography. It's the name of this band is R.E.M. by Peter Ames Carlin. I don't read a lot of new fiction because I like to wait so I can take my time. But it's written by the author is a really experienced music writer. I read a lot of music biographies and a lot of them are really bad, especially if they're written by the artist. But he wrote books on the Beach Boys, Bruce Springsteen, Paul McCartney, so he knows what he's doing. But for me, I'm a R.E.M. fan from childhood too, but what was interesting to me is when you kind of grow up with a band, you especially a band that gets very popular like R.E.M. did, you see the point where they kind of stop being able to relate to normal people, once your life is so different. It's something I've noticed with a lot of bands, and he articulates it really nicely, how like they're still writing music that's authentic to their experience. It's just their experience now you can't relate to. Yeah. So it was a really interesting book. I would, there would be a chapter on each album, and I would listen to the album after, and I really enjoyed it. And if you're not a fan of R.E.M., it's probably got limited interest to you, but if you are, especially their 80s, 90s material. Gratefully, he doesn't spend a lot of time on the later albums that most people don't care about. But yeah, if that's the sort of thing you like, it's really interesting. And he has a lot of people who were, people from the band, obviously, but also people who were involved with the band or knew them well from early on. Like there was a Michael Stipe's best friend from high school in St. Louis that would go to do like Rocky Horror Picture Show nights with him, and some really interesting, like, kind of personal stories in it, too.
Nice.
That sounds cool.
I like R.E.M. I saw the review in one of the journals, and I marked that in my head to read eventually. And I wonder if there's an audio version of it.
Probably is.
Right? Because that'd be cool. And then if they did put the music, now I want to listen to, like, the album the way you did it. And that's like a whole experience. Yeah. Okay, so one of the best books I read this year is called Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak, if that's how you pronounce it. And it was a really fun, twisty, and very unpredictable book. This is a book that you have to actually read. You can't just do like an audio because there are actual pictures in it. So it's about, it's like a supernatural thriller, and it's about this young woman who just comes out of rehab, and she takes a job as a nanny, a live-in nanny for a rich married couple, and she is going to be watching their son. I think his name is Teddy, and he's maybe around like 6 or 7 years old or something around there. And it's this rich family, so it's this big house with this beautiful pool, and she and Teddy bond very quickly, and he's always got his little sketch pad and his pencils with him, and he's always drawing like simple little pictures that little kids draw. And then one day the pictures start turning creepier and creepier, and everything gets really eerie, and then he starts drawing this like weird, scary looking woman, like think like The Grudge kind of. And he's drawing on the walls, and he's not remembering himself drawing. And so as you're reading it, the pictures are in there. So you see like the sweet little pictures, and then you see the pictures get creepier and creepier. And one day he starts drawing like, it looks like a dead woman's body getting dragged. And so the nanny, Mallory is her name, she tries to investigate, like, why is he drawing this all of a sudden, this little boy? Who is this woman? And she's living in, like, a pool house in the back, and, is that haunted? And things are very unpredictable, and it's a real page-turner, and it's so fun to look at the drawing. I like to listen, like I said, while I read along. So, I was having it read to me, and turning the pages, and it was very like, oh my God, I can't put this down. I could not put it down. Yeah. It was one of the best, well done, books I've ever read. Like, very unique. So I can't recommend that one enough.
Idea of the images.
Yeah. So cool.
Sounds really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there isn't enough like mixed media sort of books like that.
Yeah, interactive kind of.
Yeah.
Like, use all your senses.
It reminds me a little bit of a book I'm going to be talking about next episode. So listeners, as a little sneak peek at a book I'm going to be talking about next year. I'll tell you about it off air.
Okay, good.
All right.
A lot of off-air conversations happening.
Yeah. You have to get the premium subscription to Between the Shelves for those conversations.
Sorry, Patreon.
All right. Does it come back to me now? I have one more book I want to mention.
Yeah.
Okay, so this book, you all being librarians, I think might find this book particularly of interest, but I think everyone should read this book. It's called They Came for the Schools by Mike Hixenbaugh. I also talked about this earlier this year, but it bears repeating because this might be my favorite book of the year. It's nonfiction. Hixenbaugh is a senior reporter for NBC, and he's also the creator of the podcast South Lake. I don't know if you heard of it. It was an investigative journalism podcast. It won a Peabody, nominated for a Pulitzer, yada, yada, yada. This book is basically the book adaptation of the podcast. So it involves Southlake, the titular Southlake, which is a wealthy suburb of Dallas, which is also Hixenbaugh's hometown. And this community became famous nationwide around 2021 when it became sort of the first battleground for these culture wars over diversity equity programs, things like that. So basically, very, very briefly, they had a very top performing high school that news started to leak that there was harassment going on for LGBTQ and their students of color there. And the school was kind of hushing it up a little bit. It started to leak everything. Then it all came to a head when a viral video went out where one of the students was being harassed, which brought a lot more attention to it. So the school tried to address this by having implementing some diversity training programs for their staff. And all of that was fine. That went unnoticed basically by the public for years until 2021, which, if everybody remembers, was the time of the Black Lives Matter protests, things like that. So all of a sudden, everyone in the world has an opinion about all of this stuff, and they find about these diversity programs. People get outraged, and I'm sure you know where this could go from here. So basically, this gets national attention. Money starts pouring in to elect members of the school board who start yada, yada, yada. You see where I'm going with this. So basically, Hixenbaugh just happened to be at the right place at the right time. You know, there's a senior reporter for NBC who just happens to have all this going on in his hometown. So it's just a fascinating investigation or like deep dive on like how these things happen, which unfortunately is now happening all around the country. But this is just somebody who's embedded in the community, interviewing people from all sides of the issues. And it's just, you know, over the course of years of it unfolding too. I mean, it's still going on, but it's just a fascinating book. And if anybody's curious about, you know, if they want to know more about what this actually looks like on the ground level, like how book bans can happen, how any of these things can happen. This is like the best account I've seen, the most detailed account, comprehensive, that I've encountered. And I love this stuff. I read this stuff all the time. So yeah, the book again is called They Came for the Schools, Mike Hixenbaugh. Really, really recommend it. It's unfortunately more relevant than ever. I don't think we're anywhere near the end of seeing stuff like this happen, but if you want to know more about, get a better context for it, this is a good place to start. That's all I got for you. Yeah. Bit of a bummer, but I have some stuff to brighten it up later on in the episode.
No, but it sounds really interesting too.
It is.
Is it it's just focused on that one case, or is it?
It's just on that town, yeah. Yeah. Does anyone have any other books, or should we move on to other?
I have another book.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, so the second book that I want to talk about is called Wolf at the Table by Rapp. And this was one of the books that I could not put down this year. I, like, immediately, as soon as you start reading it, I was just sold on it. So basically, it's about serial killers. So that's draws me in right away. And it is a really big book. And it takes place around the 50s in Elmira, upstate New York, when there is this 13-year-old girl, Myra, coming from a very Catholic family. She is at a diner, and I don't know if she's working there or whatever, but she meets a young man who claims that he's Mickey Mantle. And she kind of believes him, and she gets a ride home from him, and she gets dropped off, whatever, that's the end of the story. But later that evening, there's a murder on her street. And I don't remember if it's a family that's killed or whatever, but there's a big murder. So then it kind of moves on to like some other things, and Myra grows up, and she has all these siblings, and they kind of all move apart from each other, and one of her siblings is just very odd, and he has a lot of problems in the family and moves away, and the mom is heartbroken that her family is torn apart, but she gets these postcards from her son who has a lot of issues, and they're really creepy postcards. And you get different perspectives from all the different characters in the book. So we do follow that young son as he runs away from his family, moves away. And he meets a lot of people along the way, and they're not very good people. And at one point, gets himself in this situation, and you start, if you know your serial killers, which I do, you start wondering, you're like, okay, he's with this adult man who says he's a clown, and I'm like, is this...
Red flag.
Yeah, exactly. So is this John Wayne Gacy? So it turns out this kid is like abducted by John Wayne Gacy. He survives, not to give things away, but that is giving it away, I guess. But anyway, but you don't, when you're reading it, you don't, there's just these subtle clues about like who this serial killer is. And that is just like one little taste of how this book is. There are, throughout the book, there's all these like subtle clues of other things that are happening in the world where you're like, wait a second, is this another serial killer or whatever? And then you look it up and you're like, oh my God, yeah, like they're just referencing, and bringing it in. And not everybody knows, right, John Wayne Gacy or whatever, but it just made the book so much more interesting to me. And I was excited that I was able to, point out a lot of things. So then the mom's getting these weird postcards, and everybody's kind of wondering what happened to him. And then Myra, she grows up and she marries someone, and you see like there's this history of schizophrenia in the book with the different characters, and a lot of mental illness, and it all comes together in the end. And it was just a real page turner, and I feel like I'm not describing the book very well.
No, I think you are.
But I recommend it.
So is it based on a true story?
There are several true stories in it, but this particular story is fictionalized. Yeah. And I believe that there are survivors of John Wayne Gacy. But this character is not a real person, because I did end up looking up like a lot of it.
Yeah, people he was maybe grooming and never.
Stuff. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, if you're into that kind of stuff,
I'm into that kind of stuff.
You would like it then, It's one of those books where it's okay. They could have left a little bit out. It's big, but it's really good, and it takes you all over the country and to Europe, and yeah. So I think you should read it then, Peter.
Nice.
Maybe I will.
Mm-hmm.
It's mysterious.
It is.
So I'm gonna move on to music. Let's try to lighten it up from the serial killers and the book bans and everything a little bit. So I always come up with my favorite 10 albums of the year. So I talked about this in the last episode. So I'm gonna play 2 songs from 2 of my favorite albums of the year. The first one is from the album Woodland or Woodlands. I forget what the title is. It's by Gillian, Welch, and Dave Rawlings. Do you know? Anyways, they're both singer-songwriters. I've been a fan of Gillian Welch for 25 years now, I think. Whenever Oh Brother Where Art Thou came out, she was on that soundtrack. So that's how I found who she was, and have been obsessed with her ever since. Anyways, this is her newest album with, I think Dave Rawlings is his name. I'm pretty sure it's Dave Rawlings. Anyways, they've been a longtime collaborators. This is their new album they did together. It's so I'm going to play a track right now from the album. It's David Rawlings. Yeah, I was right. So I think he has the hit song from this album. It's called Hashtag, and I'm going to play a little bit of it right now.
Form of the flu, chalked it up to our old friend the blues. The questions and the answers you found talked me out of that breakdown. You said, time makes the wheels spin and the years roll out and the doubt rolls in and the truck stops in the parking lots and the cheap motels.
So that's just a little taste of it. It's, beautiful melodies throughout the whole thing. A lot of, if you like singer-songwriter stuff, folk music, it's got some country kind of songs in there too. It's just a beautiful album all the way through. I think it's their first time collaborating in quite a while. They did The Harrow and the Harvest a few whiles back that was on a lot of best of the year lists. But I think this one's a little bit better. That one was a little too spare. This one has like some tracks have like a full band. It's more than just, solo guitar stuff. So yeah, I really love this album all the way through. It's like a nice background, maybe you're cooking in the kitchen or something sort of album to have on.
Reminded me a little of Cat Stevens.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I like it.
That's interesting. I'm a huge Cat Stevens fan, so there you go.
Makes sense then, yeah.
Okay, so that's my first album, and I guess I'll just go right into the next one. So I'm going to completely switch tracks, pardon the pun. This one's completely different. So I am a big fan of like 90s hip-hop, and in my opinion, hip-hop and rap basically stopped existing after like 2002. I just don't like anything basically from then until, with the exception of a few underground artists here and there. Which was so this year, to my pleasant surprise, there was a hip hop album that came out that I really like, and it sort of sounds like the stuff that I like in like the late 90s, like 2000, like right around there. The artist's name is Boldy James, and it's with the producer Conductor Williams, I think his name is. So this track is the first song from the album. It's called Terms and Conditions, and it was really hard to find a 20-second clip that didn't have cursing, so I hope this isn't the best representation of the album, but it's the best I can play on this podcast, so I hope you like it.
I can't stress it enough, it's 227, took the fade to black, made it back in one piece, 80 racks in 1 week off a field goal, I kicked it with a 3 and it still so, young at heart, but all that run in the street made me feel old, was taught to always be the message I bring, pulled the sword from the stone, and never be king, can never compete. They know the floor is rather unique. I kept the receipts, most of these never was street. Forever.
Okay, maybe I might have to put a few edits in there.
Okay.
So I usually play that right before Gillian James.
Are we all listening to the same clip?
Yeah, he's a Detroit rapper. It's his 16th album, so I have a little bit of homework to go back and catch up on. But I really love this album. Most of the tracks sound similar to that, where it's like nice soulful music in the background and with like a very simple beat over it, which I love. Like that's the stuff that's right in my wheelhouse. Very clever lyrics, funny on some tracks. He even has his son and his wife collaborate on one of the tracks. They're both rappers too, I guess. Just a great album all the way through. Pretty short, like 40 minutes, but it's just no wasted material at all. Just every track's great. Yeah, so Boldy James is his name, and I'm going to go back and listen to the other 15 albums now if I can find them.
Have you shared that with Melissa? Because I know you both share that 90s.
I haven't, but maybe we'll have to do a backup, part 2, 90s hip-hop.
Yeah,
or
she might like that.
Yeah, I will. That's it. Those are my 2 albums for this episode. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. So I'm going to talk about a show on Netflix called A Man on the Inside. Have you heard of it? Oh.
I've heard of it.
Okay.
I'm watching it.
Do you love it?
Yeah.
Okay, it's so good. It's so good, guys. So it's a lighthearted comedy with Ted Danson, right? I know. Ted Danson plays a retired professor who's widowed, and he has one daughter who's grown. She has teenage sons, so he's basically by himself. And she's like, Dad, you gotta find a hobby. You gotta find something to do with your time. So he's reading the newspaper one day, as one does, and specifically the want ads, and they're looking for, I think the blurb said, looking for a man or 70 to 80 years old who can work a cell phone. And that was it, just like those requirements. And he was like, I got it, I can do this. So he goes to this detective agency, which is what it is, and it's a woman detective, and she is looking for someone to infiltrate a kind of like a assisted living type place, where there have been like a string of robberies, and the children of the parents who've been robbed of their like jewels have hired her to find out like what's going on. Like they think it's an inside thing. So he basically moves into the assisted living under the guise of being like a spy. But he's Ted Danson, so he ends up loving it, and they love him, you know? And it's a lighthearted, heartwarming comedy. Sometimes it's corny, it's a little cringy sometimes, right? There's just something about it. It's so funny. It's so easy to watch. You know, and also, so Michael Schur created it, who also created Parks and Rec.
Okay.
And The Good Place.
The Office, The Good Place, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So he's got a good track record.
Yeah.
So if you like that kind of humor, I think you would enjoy the show. And it did get renewed for a second season. So I'm super excited for that.
It's heartwarming. It's really nice. It has Sally Struthers in it too, which is kind of fun. Mm-hmm. She's one of the residents.
Yeah. It's really funny. I mean, you put all those people together who are all older and all different personality types, and they all live together, and it's just really comical to see how they get along or they don't get along. I don't know. I was watching it and thinking, like, I wish I could live there. It just looks so fun.
Did you know that it's based off a true story?
No.
I heard that. Yeah.
So there's a documentary called The Mole Agent that came out in 2020, which is excellent. We have it here at the library. It was on my maybe top 10 or 15 movies of that year. It's a documentary, obviously, and I think it takes place in France, but it
was Chile.
One of those countries. Anyways, it's a great documentary, and it's fascinating because this has all happened for real. Really, really good documentary, The Mole Agent. We have it at the library. Come check it out.
Oh, yeah, we'll check that out.
I want to watch that now because, Ted Danson, growing up with him, I was liking him. And now he's got a pretty good podcast. Does anybody listen to the podcast? Yeah. He's on the Conan O'Brien's
network, Team Coco.
Team Coco. He's a Team Coco, yeah. And one of the funniest Conan episodes was when Ted Danson was on it, yeah. And then I think it's his first episode, he has
Does he do
Conan
it with Woody
on it.
Harrelson?
Yes.
Is it the two of them?
Yes, but Woody Harrelson's not always present.
Oh,
he's only on some of the...
Like he's physically there, but he's mentally not present?
Both. Both, yeah. But it is like billed as the two of them, and he is there for the first episode where Conan is there. But yes, it was the two of them on the Conan episode.
Yeah. That was a good episode.
Which was really funny, right? Yeah, that was a really funny one. Yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
He's so good, so funny. So happy for him.
Continued success of Ted Danson. He's never had a lull.
No, he hasn't.
All right, nice. Who wants to go next? I'm done. That was everything for me.
I have a movie. What do you have?
I have a music and a book left. I mean, and a TV show.
Oh, why don't you do a TV show? Yeah.
Okay, so my TV show is the final season of Somebody Somewhere. I think I might have talked about it in one of these, like, for the first season, but it's on HBO. It's a dramedy series that follows Sam Miller, who's played by the comedian Bridget Everett, who's known for, like, really raunchy, like, musical comedy. Not like as in, but, she sings in her stand-up act. But it's about her. She's a woman who returns to her small Kansas hometown after a failed singing career. She's grappling with grief over her sister's death while finding a sense of belonging through a community of quirky individuals, etc. But this is the last season is the third season, and it's really about, like, being a middle-aged person who's kind of starting over and trying to mend relationships with their family and also make new friendships. And it has, like, her best friend, well, she meets him in the first season she gets this dumb job grading, like, high school tests, and she meets him there, and they become best friends. So it's kind of about meeting your person late in life, and it's funny, but it's really heartwarming, and it really tugs at your heartstrings. There's a lot of unexpected relationships in it, and her dad is senior. He's about to retire. He's a farmer and ends up having a really close friendship with a professor at the local university, an agriculture professor who helps him solve problems with the farm, who is a trans man. And it's kind of about how it also, giving people the benefit of the doubt who you wouldn't necessarily think would have a relationship with this type of person. And, it's just really wraps up in a really nice way. They clearly knew that this was going to be the last season when they wrote it. And it's just has so many great relationships in it. I just can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, I've seen this on a few best of 2024 lists. And you did mention it on a previous episode because all that keeps coming back to you. Yeah. All right, nice. Somebody Somewhere?
Yeah, Somebody Somewhere. It's on HBO.
All right. Do you have a movie, Marianne?
I have a movie. All of Us Strangers. Has anyone seen that one?
Surprisingly, I haven't.
Yeah, that is surprising. This was my favorite movie of the year. Of course, it's not a happy movie. I don't like happy things. It's about there's grief in it, trauma, queer love, family relationships, childhood trauma. Paul Mescal and Andrew Scott. So those are also, yes, two of the main reasons why I did watch it, for the two of them. So Paul Mescal and Andrew Scott have this intergenerational romance because Andrew Scott is so much older. He's not really, but I guess he is. And he plays, I forgot the name of his character, but he's lonely. He lives by himself in this deserted apartment building in London. And one night, Paul Mescal shows up. His name is Harry in there. So one night, Harry shows up at his door. He's drunk. And Andrew Scott turns him away. And they meet again a couple more times and they develop a relationship and they get close, and all of a sudden Andrew Scott, his outlook on life changes a little bit, and he during all of this starts to revisit his childhood home, and he starts talking to his parents, and he comes out to them, and it's the 80s at this time though, so it's the era of AIDS, and his mom tells him that he loves him, but she's got a little bit of shame because again it's the 80s, but his parents, you noticed, you're like, wow, his parents are like the same age as him, like why? So he's kind of like going back into his past, talking to his parents, and they have these like really deep, beautiful conversations, and they make amends. But then Andrew Scott and Harry, they go out one night and they're partying, and he has this ketamine meltdown at a club, and Paul Mescal takes him back home and cares for him. And after he has this meltdown, time begins to bend, and like weird stuff is like happening. Things aren't what they seem. Devastating things happen. Truths are revealed, and I sobbed and sobbed when the end happens and everything unfolds, and you're like, oh my God, like this is what happened, and why did I watch this? Like, it's just a heartbreaking, beautiful tearjerker. But it's beautiful. It's so well done. Both of the actors were amazing in it. And the cinematography is beautiful too. And it's very dark, dreary. Like the atmosphere really plays into everything that's happening.
Yeah, I've had that on my list for a while, but I have a hard time motivating myself to watch non-horror movies.
Well, it's December, so now's the time to not watch a horror movie and watch something very depressing.
Is it streaming?
I did watch it, yeah. It must be streaming, so yeah. Right, I did watch it like maybe like in the spring, so wherever, but I probably didn't pay for it. Probably Amazon or something.
I just added it to my I will watch this.
You would like it
before the Oscars. Yeah. I will definitely watch it.
It's very deep. Like, so I think you would like it.
Yeah.
Alex is very deep.
I know, that's why. Deep. Yeah.
I typically watch every single movie that comes out, so I don't know how this one slipped through the cracks.
I don't know how either, especially with those two actors.
And I know the director too, so I'm really surprised that this one slipped by.
Oh, all right, yeah. And I mean, Paul Mescal, he's like everywhere now. He's just, blowing up, especially after Gladiator, But all his stuff before that is still so good.
All right. Yeah. I just added it to my list.
Good. Tell me after you watch it. Yes.
All right. Do we have one more?
So the movie I'm going to talk about is a documentary on Netflix called Will and Harper. Have you seen that? Oh.
It's another on my to-watch list.
It's along the same vein of my other things I talked about, very heartwarming and wholesome, about Will Ferrell and his longtime friend who was a former writer on SNL, head writer, and he transitioned into a woman. And her name is Harper Steele, and they go on this 17-day road trip across the country together. And they visit different places that are significant to the both of them. And, Will Ferrell is kind of like, he's very like out there and funny, and, you don't really see the person inside him. Mm-hmm. But it's really touching to see his friendship with Harper. And I think it's great that he's Will Ferrell, so he has a huge platform, and he's using it for something good to, destigmatize a topic like being transgender and normalize it. And they have, in the first episode, I think they had Tina Fey on it also, and they all went to dinner together. I think it was Seth Meyers, Colin Jost, and they all talked about Harper, and just really sweet.
I like
film
too
to watch.
because I've seen it too, and Harper was like a big sports fan, and she didn't feel comfortable or safe in some of those situations anymore, and she also really liked going to like dive bars in a small town and that sort of thing. And Will kind of, nobody's gonna attack you or be mean to you when Will Ferrell's with you. So like Will Ferrell kind of provided an inroads with the people who maybe wouldn't be so accepting of Harper without him there, which was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, one of Harper's favorite things to do, she said, was go to random bars across the country, and now she doesn't feel safe in all those anymore. So that's something she really wanted to work on, was being able to go to a place like that and feel comfortable and not feel threatened. So that was,
nice.
It's cool.
So that's Will and Harper is on Netflix, and I just looked it up. All of Us Strangers is on Hulu. So now I know what I'm doing this weekend. Thank you.
And report back to both of us.
I will, promise.
Like Monday morning.
Yeah,
Okay.
first thing.
All right, what do you got, Peter?
Okay, so my final one is music. It is The Cure, Songs of a Lost World. It's their first album in 16 years. And I've been... The Cure has been my favorite band since I was 12, and I heard Just Like Heaven on the bus on the way to 7th grade. Aww. And I, have all of their stuff, and but in the last, their last album was 16 years ago, but even none of their albums from like the 2000s have been that good. And there's been, maybe 2 or 3 songs that I liked on them, but this album is incredible. It sounds like peak era Cure for me, like Disintegration. It's very sad. It's one of their friends and former producers, Dave Allen, described it as Elegy for the Earth. And it just sounds like the classic Cure that I fell in love with as a kid, but its themes are very middle-aged. And in interviews, Robert Smith's talked about how it's taken him 16 years because he needed to find topics that he could sing about that felt genuine, but there's a song about it's about loss, disillusionment, and just running out of time. They're kind of references to global warming, birds falling out of the sky, and it's just like that really is a good description of it, Elegy for the Earth, because it sounds a lot like their earlier stuff, which was also sad, but in kind of a youthful, romantic way, and maybe referencing death in a way a teenager does in their diary. But this is his brother died, who was the one who encouraged him that he could make a go of being a band and got him into music, and it's just really beautiful album. I love the entire thing, and it's nice to see that you can connect to music in a similar way that you did when you were young, that is not focused on youth, that's about what it's like to be older, and I just really love it.
That's interesting. It's interesting, like pairing with your R.E.M. book that you were talking about, where I respect the Cure for taking time off to find something that is true to them without sounding like vain, I guess, or for lack of a better
or term. Songs about how hard it is to be famous, which I'm sure it is, but I don't relate to that.
Yes, heavy is the crown of the Between the Shelves podcast. What's your favorite track from the album, if I can play one on this episode?
You should play a bit of the first song. It's called Alone. It has a very long intro, so if you want to have some singing in it, skip like halfway through or...
This is the end of every song that we sing. The fire burned out to ash, and the stars grown dim with tears.
Is that everything?
I just have one podcast to talk about. So I started listening to this podcast, and I'm up to date with it recently. It's called the Telepathy Tapes, and someone recommended it on Instagram, someone I follow, and it's about individuals who have non-speaking autism, and there's a bunch of people, not a bunch, but there's a few people who believe that they can communicate telepathically if you have autism and you're nonverbal. And a documentary filmmaker produced this whole thing, and she, went on this 4-year-long journey into discovering this, and she has a neuroscientist that she works with also. They do all these tests. All the tests are on their website with videos, so you can watch them. And it's really interesting because even though you can't verbalize anything, they can still speak to each other in their mind. And at first, it's hard to believe because, your rational mind doesn't want to believe something like that. But then when you read about all the tests they did and how there's no possible way the mother thinking of something, her son could know it, like in another room, there's just no possible way. Like, how else do you explain something like that? So it's not over yet. The episodes are still ongoing. But it just gives you something to think about. And it's just another peek into their world, something you may not know about. And it also talks about, they're called spellers. So if they use communication, like letterboards to communicate, there's some controversy in schools. Some teachers don't like them using that way. But that's how they communicate. So it goes into that also. I think it's thought-provoking. Yeah, and it's interesting to hear about all the different people who had like the same experiences.
So what is the format of the podcast? Is it interviewing like different parents around the country, or? So
she starts off, the first episode is her just talking about it and how she first got introduced to the topic. She links up with a neuroscientist and she explains the science behind it, how her colleagues didn't believe it at first and they wouldn't publish her paper. And then after they read it, they published it and they reinstated her because science, you can't see it, there's no evidence, so they didn't want to believe anything like could be possible. And she meets with individuals and their parents, the kids who have autism, and they're adults, teens, and she follows them throughout these 4 years. And these are teens also who have never even met before, and they can sense each other and they can talk to each other somehow through their minds, and it's just things that you can't explain otherwise. There's no other way to explain it other than there's something else going on. Interesting. Yeah. So I recommend it. 7-part series so far. Very cool. Mm-hmm. It's Telepathy. That's the name of the podcast? Tapes. The Telepathy Tapes. Okay, cool. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. Thank you. All right. I think that's all we have for this episode. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you. If you have any ideas for episodes in 2025, now's the time to get them in because we're starting to fill up those slots. Wow. And listeners, we have one more best of coming up after this one, so we'll check you again next time between the shelves.